Time now to take a closer look at what's happening across Africa. For that, we're joined in the studio by Georja Calvin-Smith. Over to you, Georgia.
Thanks very much, Laura. OK, today Zimbabwe says it's ready for next week's elections, despite the misgivings of sceptics. Togo is also gearing up for polls, parliamentary ones. They're on Thursday. And the issue of Cameroon's harsh treatment of sexual minorities once again hits the headlines. OK, we already see Zimbabwe's election authorities undeterred by chaotic logistics, a funding shortfall and alleged vote rigging. There's just 1 week before polls pit President of 33 years, Robert Mugabe, against Prime Minister Morgan Tsvangirai. Mugabe is predicting a 90% victory, but his ZANU-PF's infuriated by a mysterious insider called Baba Yukwa, who's turned to Facebook to air the party's alleged dirty laundry online. Now, voters are hungry for information beyond that given by state media. France 24 has spoken to First TV, Zimbabwe's first independent television station. It's been broadcasting from South Africa since its launch last Friday. ZANU-PF has vowed to cripple it. Anchor Tembahove tells us about his first few days on air.
We've had a few hitches, teething problems, but the whole morale is quite high. We're optimistic, and we know that it will get even busier as we go towards the elections, but we are prepared for it.
Now, is it any coincidence that your launch comes in the same month as Zimbabwe's elections?
No, it's not a coincidence. You know, we have been preparing to apply for a formal license to broadcast within Zimbabwe. But so far, only 2 radio stations have been given the license to broadcast and no TV station. So when the call for elections came, we strongly believe that Zimbabweans, every Zimbabwean has a right to information that will help them to make their choice, to vote. So we felt that the pressure was on for us to be on air before the elections, for Zimbabweans to have alternative information, just to give them a choice, enough information for them to choose.
So you're a platform for the opposition?
No, our policy is non-partisan. We do not support any political party. We have set up this platform for Zimbabweans to use as a platform. Any political party is free to use this platform. We've actually invited all the political parties in Zimbabwe to come and talk, and some have taken the invitation, some have yet to take the invitation, but the invitation is out there for all Zimbabwean political parties to participate.
Now, President Mugabe's ZANU-PF party is understandably infuriated and has threatened to cripple you. This can't, though, come as a surprise to you.
What came as a surprise was the fact that they were able to, or they labelled us even before we went on air.
We are just a little over a week from the election itself. What plans do you have for covering it?
We've asked Zimbabweans, every Zimbabwean who has access to social network applications, to make an input. We will be here 24/7, all the way up till the announcement, the final announcement.
Tembahove, their anchor of First TV. Today, candidates in Togo's parliamentary elections have had their final shot at canvassing voters ahead of Thursday's vote. That comes after months of delays that have only recently been settled when the opposition dropped threats of a boycott. A coalition of rivals to President Nsingbe's UNIR are hoping to loosen his family's decades-long grip on power. Nicholas Germain tells us more.
The candidate Jerry Tama canvassing at one of Lomé's markets. He explains why he's chosen not to hold rallies.
We can't ask these women to leave their stores and listen to us. For them, these stores are their livelihoods. It's up to us to come to them and listen to their aspirations and transform them into laws.
The ruling party's candidate is also on the campaign trail. She's defending the record of President Faure Gnassingbé. He came to power in 2005 after the death of his father, who'd ruled Togo for nearly 4 decades.
We have gone to many homes and we've reassured the people. I think that's what the population needs the most, to be close to their leaders.
One of the main opposition leaders, Jean-Pierre Fabre, says he hopes this election will be more transparent than the presidential votes of 2005 and 2010.
It's not enough just to mobilise people. It's also important to keep an eye on the voting process, as well as the Electoral Commission, to prevent fraud from taking place.
The opposition hopes to improve on its current position. Today it only makes up less than 1/5 of Togo's National Assembly.
Look at some news in brief now. For a 9th day, the Congolese army has kept up clashes with M23 rebels in the east of Democratic Republic of Congo. Military helicopters bombarded insurgent positions on Tuesday. M23 fighters claim to have made it to within 4 kilometers of the city of Goma. Meanwhile, NGO Human Rights Watch has admitted it included inaccurate testimony in a report released this week that alleged Rwanda backs the M23. Rwanda's always rejected these claims. Nevertheless, the US today called on the country to end any support it's offered rebels. In Libya, a rocket-propelled grenade landed not far from a tower housing several embassies in Tripoli on Tuesday. Security sources claim the weapon may have been launched from a nearby car. There were, luckily, no reported injuries, though the security situation in the country remains volatile. South Sudan's president has dismissed his vice president and entire cabinet. Salva Kiir announced the reshuffle in a televised decree earlier today. He's also suspended Pagan Amum, the Secretary General of the ruling party. No reasons were given for the shake-up. Last month, Kiir suspended 2 cabinet members and ordered investigation into corruption allegations. Ethiopia's foreign minister says that it's still committed to the fight against jihadist al-Shabaab militants, despite having started pulling troops from the group's rebel strongholds in Somalia. The Ethiopian military has contributed to bringing some stability back to Somalia by targeting al-Qaeda-linked fighters. But earlier this year, al-Shabaab enjoyed a comeback after troops pulled back from the town of Hudra. This week, they've pulled out of the city of Baidoa. Some fear that's leaving the door wide open for militants. Ethiopia's downplaying the concerns, though.
The withdrawal depends on the smoothness of the situation. On 2 things. One, the liberated territories must be secured. The coming back of al-Shabaab must be ruled out completely. And that is why it will be an orderly and phase-by-phase withdrawal. It won't be sudden total pullout.
In Cameroon, 2 men have been found guilty and sentenced to a 2-year and 1-year suspended prison term for homosexuality, the latest in a string of recent convictions. A 3rd suspect was acquitted. The case comes less than 2 weeks after a prominent Cameroonian gay rights activist, Eric Lembembe, was found tortured and killed at his home. The country is notoriously harsh in its treatment of sexual minorities. The defendant's lawyer accused the court of having already made up its mind in this case.
I have the feeling the judge didn't take into account our arguments because what we showed him should have led to an acquittal. This is really a made-up case of homosexuality. Someone is arrested because they want to sell a CD and then they are convicted for homosexuality. You can't do that. In this case, there is absolutely no evidence.
Okay, to Ivory Coast now, where street fighting is back in fashion, but Queensberry rules apply. In the hope of tempting more people into taking up the sport, the country's boxing federation's taken its champions on the road. Nicholas Germain has more.
Boxing rings in the heart of Abidjan's business district. The Ivorian Boxing Federation is trying to promote this sport, which used to be a big hit here. The country's first president, Félix Houphouët-Boigny, used to invite major champions to Ivory Coast. But since his death in 1993, boxing's popularity has waned.
For a long time now, boxing has not been a major sport in Ivory Coast. So now we've launched this project with boxers fighting in the heart of the city, in the business district.
The matches take place outside and are free to watch. They've drawn large crowds.
I'm watching a very animated match, and it's beautiful.
The federation wants to attract new spectators, but also recruit young talents. They are trained in private clubs. The best boxers then join the national team, which hopes to take part in the 2016 Olympic Games. The federation organises tournaments to discover future stars.
Later on, I want to be like Muhammad Ali.
There are now some 50 boxing clubs in Ivory Coast, and the next step for the federation is the opening of a major indoor boxing arena.
Right, that's it for me, but I will be back in an hour with more African news.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Georja Calvin-Smith. And if you haven't had your fix of one-day-old baby Cambridge, fear not. Stay with us here on France 24. Mark Owen will be here with all the day's highlights, and he'll be looking back at what this means historically as well. All of that coming up next. Stay with us here on France 24.